want to change your life, I'm going to get straight into it. You have to be emotionally vulnerable. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be accountable. But the main thing we're trying to do is we're trying to understand the self. We are trying to understand ourselves a little bit better so that we can be more conscious, be more aware, so we can put that thought to action. It's about our call to action in the end. The only thing that matters is how much we can take the first step to becoming the person we want to be. Being emotionally vulnerable starts with understanding and reflecting. Anywhere where you have guilt or shame, you can ask yourself, where do I feel guilt or shame? Is there a part of life where I don't feel sufficed or satisfied with my own self? I think it's important to ask yourself those questions. For me, it was lust, it was dopamine addiction, and I felt guilty, I felt shame. I didn't want to feel that way, but I had to be honest with myself. I couldn't think my way out of a problem. I had to ask myself, how did this affect my life? I think being emotionally vulnerable changes your life because you become so self aware. But you don't want to self depreciate. The point isn't to self loathe and to beat yourself up over the decisions, it's to understand what you've done. How can you move forward on the map if you don't even know where you're at, right? It's about understanding where you are right now. To move forward, you have to know what direction you're going to go in. You don't want to move south because you don't understand where you are on the map. You can think you're going the right way, but you might not really understand where you're going. The lust has triggers, and it stems from one thing and one thing only, where it originally started. When did it start? For me, it started when I was probably in second grade, which is crazy for anyone listening. I think it's kind of crazy now that I look back on it, but it started from a young age and it encapsulated my teenage years. So there's the root cause. It started at a young age. I was probably, I'm not going to say it, but it happened at a very young age. And now as an adult, I have to face that fear. And it ruined my life. It really did. But it didn't ruin my life forever. It ruined my life for the years that I was addicted to lust and dopamine addiction and the hits I got from it. So the more you can ask yourself these questions, the more you can be honest with yourself. The more vulnerable you can be saying, I struggle with this. I can open up and be honest about, hey, I wasn't the greatest person. I didn't lead with the best intention, but this is who I want to be. The person I want to be, I'm trying to give up these things. Your old life, you have to give it up. The new life you want, you have to exchange for the person you once were and get rid of all those bad habits. Do you have to do it all at once? You probably don't have to. But it's about understanding the vulnerability it takes to become self-aware and to put those thoughts to action is what is going to set you up for success. And success is all subjective and there's no definitive answer, but it's about understanding I will be the better person. I will have better outcomes if I can be honest with myself. I can not escape my problems because what is running from your problems going to do? Let's just logically ask ourselves that. If we are not vulnerable, what is it like to be on the other side of it? We can run away, but inevitably one day we're going to sit down with ourselves and accept that we have to accept these things and we're probably not going to break them. And you will realize that it's an addiction and you haven't broke it and you either accept it and you accept your fate and you live miserably doing the wrong thing, or you realize that it's time to get up off your 2 feet. And it's time to get off your 2 feet. You have to stand tall. You have to stand with pride and confidence, knowing that you have to break those things because no one's going to do it for you. It's not to be motivational. It's not to be inspirational. It's to improve your life. I don't want to be a motivational speaker, as I appreciate the comment, but I want to help people improve their lives. I want to see people live the lives I never got to because of the attachment issues or because of the things that ruin my own relationships. Life is better when you have constant good friendship and things to look forward to. It's about understanding your whys and the questions behind everything. So let's ask ourselves a little bit more questions and dive. Let's get to the bottom of it, okay? Let's think about okay, if we want to be emotionally vulnerable, we have to go through a set emotions. What makes us happy? We have to go through the top and the bottom. What makes us happy? I love going on hikes. I love walking. I love physical activity. I love being mindful. I love hanging out with friends. I love eating good food. So we have our set basis. And why do I love doing those things? It's because I found my way out of bad habits. I appreciate the little things like going on walks because I never went on walks. It's because it brings me dopamine. It brings me dopamine I earned. I know the whys behind it because I was a substance addict. I abused prescription drugs. I I know my reasons why. The little things hit a lot more different now knowing that I dealt with a lot of pain and struggle and the ability to stay sober. It wasn't easy. Let's ask ourselves, well, what makes us sad? Thinking about the past, your mistakes, I don't know, recent mistakes. Maybe it was that conversation that just had a weird vibe to it and just lingered around. It can be so insignificant, significant, it doesn't matter. Being vulnerable to say, hey, maybe I did hurt your feelings, or maybe I wasn't a good person. I've had this bad tendency, or I push people away. That's step one. It's becoming self aware of those things and being content with them. It's laying it out right in front of you so you can accept it. And then asking yourself, what does the best version of myself look like? And maybe not the best version, but what is an improved version? Like what is me in a year with improvement to it? What does it look like? What do I act like? How do I speak? How do I articulate myself? How do I express myself in a way that I would want to be? For me, I didn't want to be anxiously attached. I didn't want to be disorganized. I didn't want to be scared of commitment. So I made commitment different. I redefined commitment. A lot of it is just reshaping your perspective of what it means for everything. Once you realize that individuality is all subjective, you can create your own meanings for your own life. You create your own purpose. It's nothing to be found through anything. You create. Nothing is found, it's all created. Once you create that purpose, it's the intentionality behind it. I think once we realize that, we have so much power in our free will to really change. Redefine commitment, redefine what it looks like to be in a relationship, to be the improving version of ourselves. I mean, it's so key. And honestly, it takes a long time too. I can't sell everybody short and tell you it's a 60-day or 90-day process. You can make visual progress and be a better person in 90 days, but to change your habits forever, it's not going to take you a day or two or a month. And if you set these goals for a year or two, if you don't achieve what you would like in your own mind, you have this negative connotation expectation. You fall victim to your own expectations you set on yourself, and it only sets you back. That's why I say not the best version of yourself, but an improving version of yourself. It's vain to call yourself the nicest person or I am a nice person. It's not a vain thing to say I'm a nice person, but to be a bad person and have nothing to show for, you're you're making bold claims and assumptions. To be a bad person and to try to be a better person is to be an imperfect, improving, perfect person. There's no such thing as perfection and there's no best version of you because you're always improving if you think about it like that. At a certain point, that 1% better or every day that you might hear about, it's not always going to be 1% better. You're going to hit a plateau. Life is not always going to be linear. It's about what you can finagle your way in to make these small changes to become better. And there's going to be days where you might relapse or you're not on your A game, where you're stressed out and life just hits you like a curveball. And that's okay. Just keep asking yourself these questions, keep creating a routine, keep redefining everything. I think to change inevitably for the best, you have to be extreme about it. to be emotionally vulnerable. Why did I be emotionally vulnerable? Is because it drove me crazy. I mean, I I couldn't admit a lot of these things because it hurt. And once I realized I stopped running from it and I faced it at its core value is when I started to improve in my life. I suffered 19 years so you don't have to. That's my goal. I want to help people. I want people to understand that I ran from all my problems for years and years. I ran from sobriety. I ran from everything that I wasn't. Everything I was or I am now is changed because of vulnerability and my ability to talk to myself, know myself. We don't even know that we do a lot of the things that we do. That's why it's important to understand that, well, we're not in the best situation to judge ourselves. That's why being emotionally vulnerable and being honest as we can is the best start. Most of the realities we paint for ourselves are not even objective. We create these subjective realities. We don't see things at face value. We don't even see things in how they really are. We make up excuses. We don't take accountability. We run from our problems and make up excuses and think our way out of the problems when in reality, there's no point in doing so. Back to talking about redefining what it means to be everything in your life. If I had to point to one thing specifically, I would say anything mindful is always going to help. I think speaking is the number one thing. It's getting things off your chest. Even if you have nobody to talk to, I think that speaking in any facet is going to help you. I think making any videos, any long term or long form content or short form content, just making anything and speaking and getting your vocabulary and your reps up matters a lot. It also matters to just upload and just be there, be consistent, do it every single day, and you'll become a better speaker. But you're also going to get better in every facet of your life. I think it's about the more you hear yourself, the more you listen to it back, the more you understand, wow, that's actually me. That's how I sound. That's what I think. The more you hear yourself and your actual thoughts, I mean, we don't record our thoughts and hear them back. But sometimes, if we were to record our beliefs and what we believe in, and we watch a year from now, we probably don't believe some or even most of those things that we used to believe in. Hence why I say we are a different person every year. We are a different person every year. I mean, it's crazy. We don't even know ourselves. So, know yourself by talking to yourself to be emotionally vulnerable. I think that's the number one thing I can paint to is, and if you're wondering where can I talk to myself, you can take a video of yourself on your phone, upload on social media, just speak to the camera. You can read out loud. Well, obviously you're not going to hear yourself, but I mean you're not going to hear it back. But speaking out loud is still good for you. I would say voice memos is good, and I would say just regular conversation, being more outgoing when you go out or if you talk to anybody. I think getting out of your comfort zone, you'll reflect more on what you say in your own behaviors because you are improving, you are getting those repetitions up as time slowly goes on. So now that we've became aware, how do we put these things to action? How do we understand the main conscious of action? And how do we stay consistent? How do we break it for good? Because I struggle with consistency, and I think many others do as well. I think the number one thing is don't expect to do things all at once. You have to be patient with your lives, but more importantly, don't put expectations in a routine or goals. I think it's good to be ambitious, but we fall victim to our own systems. We fall victim to our own expectations. I think it's just to improve without expectation in anything. Let's not expect everything because when we expect nothing, we have everything to gain. And that's so much easier to appreciate. Let's lead with the expectation that we're just trying to improve, and what comes to us, and that's what we receive. What we deserve is going to be right in front of us, and that's ready for us to receive because of the good person we actually are. If it's getting in the gym, if it's dealing with, I don't know, any anxiety or anything mentally, I think it's important to understand it's baby steps and you don't always have to know. But you can cut the amount of time it takes to heal or develop a new habit by reaching out to people. And for anyone listening, I've received so many messages, hundreds, approaching 1,000 messages, I would say, asking for help. And I want to help everybody. I've been thinking about helping people individually with their own problems, and I just want to make a priority list for people because it's so hard to work a full-time job and everything. What I'm trying to say is I want to help people. Let me know if you're interested, if you're making it this far in the podcast, if you would like that. But it's about understanding that someone can help you. I can really kickstart, or other people can kickstart that ability to cut the time in half, because for fitness, if you knew everything, it would probably cut the time in half for all the margin of error of mistakes and the not training right, the journaling wrong, or trying a quick fix for mental health and not understanding it's a slow burning pot. We have to take it slow. No matter what it is, I think it's good to have a mentor, or a guidance, or someone who's overcame those issues before, because I think people that have experienced those things first and foremost understand it the best. It's easier to relate and share your feelings based off of the experiences you went through. And to anyone listening, I care about your problems. I listen to every single one of your problems. I've went through hundreds of messages, and I'm eternally blessed. And this is more of a me thing, but thank you all so much. I'm so blessed. I have imposter syndrome. I don't believe I really help people, but if I have reached you and I've resonated or related to you, I'm boundlessly appreciative if you're listening. And I'm just emotional thinking about it. I've received so many hundreds of great messages that make it all worth it to be vulnerable, to be strong, and to admit my own flaws and character. So thank you all. And to anyone asking if I'm okay, I'm doing great. I speak of issues that I've overcame or I've conquered now, or just still handling, obviously. But I know what it's like to change because I'm embodiment of emotional vulnerability. I feel like emotional vulnerability is my strong suit because I have no fear of judgment. I don't fear any outcome. If someone were to tell me, "Oh, hi, you're addicted to lust, you're a gooner," I would say, "Damn straight I was, but I'm a better person now." Right? I don't fear what people have to say about me because it has nothing to do with me itself. I'm I'm an improving person that has no effect on how I perceive myself. But going back to emotional vulnerability and staying consistent is it's about just taking that first step and not having to do it all at once. It's about you're playing the long game. It's the piece of playing the long game. You know, putting all of your shares into one pot and just playing the long game, waiting for your investments to slowly compound over time. It doesn't matter if you're gaining 1% every year or getting slowly better. I think it's about where you end up, but end up in your mind. It's never the end journey itself. I think we put too much expectation on that, and that gets in the way of what it really means to be emotionally vulnerable and to be ourselves. The goal is to live a better life, to live one human experience. I wouldn't speak if I wasn't trying to improve the quality of other people's lives through my own message. I want others to experience life that I would want to experience while I was still younger and had time and youth, and who haven't experienced relationships or basic conversation and had good friends. It makes all the difference, right? So, to anyone listening still, thank you for making it. We're approaching the 20-minute mark, and this was supposed to be a YouTube video. I'm going to upload this up into a podcast. This is all candid, by the way. I'm just got home from work too, which is funny. But I want to speak about consistency one more, and I'll wrap it up here. Is I think you have to harness the belief that you will be consistent, that you will take pride in that emotional vulnerability. I think it makes you so strong as a human being to be emotionally vulnerable. It's not to beat yourself up, it's to be proud of. You don't have to be proud of your mistakes, but be proud that you made mistakes. You were always the best person or the most ideal person, and you improved. You got back up. Look around you. There are so many people who just stay the same person every single year, and they hurt people, they ruin others' lives, they come into any environment and they make it a miserable place for other people to be in. To be the person in the room, to be the vibe killer is probably the worst feeling when you're someone surrounding them. So if you can avoid being that, you are doing so many people a favor. You're doing yourself a favor. You know you're not an insufferable human being to be around. So you're doing a great job, but always believe that, hey, you're not stuck. You're on your own path. Your emotional vulnerability, whether someone in your family's gone or you did something, you did an act of betrayal, you were lying, if you were making things up, it doesn't matter what you are. I'm not the perfect human being that people might think I am. People think I'm a nice, kind human being. I'm an improving human being because I've made a lot of mistakes. I've regretted a lot of things I said. A lot of those things can be used against me. As a creator, I'm not the most, how do I say it? I'm not the most reputable person because I'm a hurtful person, but I'm an improving person. I know what it's like to improve. I know what it's like to let things go. And that's what makes me me. I'm willing to admit the flaws. Like I will never go back to that part of my life. I embrace it. It's not to be proud of. I'm proud of where I improved from. That's all that matters, and I think for you too, that should be exactly where you land. Is to you don't have to be proud of the things that you're not proud of in life, but be proud of where you are now in relation to who you were. You do a lot more than you probably think. You don't ruin everything. You do so much. You provide value in every facet you don't appreciate, but you feel like one or two or three mistakes ruins everything. Just because you ruined a thing or two doesn't define you. You provide so much value elsewhere you don't even know. So I want everyone here to know that I'm here for you. I'm not a creator who leaves its viewers behind. I care for every single one of you. I want everyone to drop below if they would like to see me help one on one individually if people have their own issues, just a community or anything. The demand's really high, so I would like to see what the feedback is if you made this far. That was my first of the episode, I think. But thank you all so much for listening. This is probably my favorite thing to do is come on here and just speak. I love speaking. I love creating and being able to maybe help. And if one person listens to a 25-minute long podcast of mine, I'm so eternally blessed. And thank you all so much. If anyone has more questions, make sure you follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Journal with Ace on all platforms. Remember, everyone, discipline in private builds confidence in public, and I want everyone to know to be vulnerable, to have the courage to be vulnerable is to be strong. Never shy away from your emotions. Always understand yourself because you know you the best. And what you run from has already caught you. It's time to own up to those feelings. And with that being said, I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.